Draven's also been banned very frequently against this, against both of these sides. So this is something else that maybe Arsene wants to get his hands on.
Lilia continuing to eat the bans to deny Shadow that big AP carry threat and probably open up what would be a solid AD Yone for the side of Care.
Skarner is already taken. Yeah.
Skarner and Maokai are the big tank junglers that are still yet to be played in this series. I know we've seen some tricklings of Mundo also show up around the world. First starting to see it in, tier 2 levels of play over in NACL. Before now, we saw Skewmon play it in LEC. Contracts played it in LTA earlier today. Though we see it here, as you already called out, Sejuani's already been taken. So there's no combo of, Sejuani Yone that can be locked in, but Care looking for a blind Yone to really have to step up this game. This is going to be big shoes to fill. Renekton being hovered right now as a big blind pick for Sheer. They're just going for pure solo lane dominance right now.
And this says that we are going AP jungler, right? When you take this Renekton like this, when you take Yone like this. Either Awesome's pulling out a Ziggs, or we're expecting, your Nidalee, your Karthus, something like that to come out from Shadow that's maybe a little bit off the wall and not something that we've seen from them, but that's what you get from Game 5. Yeah, Zyra as well, a really big pick. But for NIP here, there we go. I mean, kind of anticipating this from the get-go that Leave has looked really good on these hyper carries, and with what was left available, the Aphelios seems to fit that brief.
And because you already have anticipations of a dive coming in with a Yone, NIP go for the Renata just to as a barrier, act as a barrier against that dive. And FPX, we called it. Zyra locked in for Shadow. And this is nice for FPX as an answer because Zyra's not an engaged champion. She's a disengaged champion. You get to a fight first, you set up the plans, you're forcing NIP to walk into you. Not the greatest idea or the desire for a Renata setup, right?
Yeah, it's good to now start to try to pivot back towards something maybe a little more disengage oriented, but we kind of already knew that this Zyra was going to come in. Not many AP assassin or not many AP junglers that do dive forward. Nidalee maybe being the only exception to that. So just a little pivot to make sure that we don't see Shadow Nidalee, instead see the Zyra come on through instead. And NIP now in a position where they can ban out that bot lane quite significantly. Again, champions like Ezreal still available for Awesome if he wants to try and take that. You have still got a decent way to get out of danger if you want to take the Ezreal down onto that bot side. And even Tristana as well, one of these picks that's receiving a little bit of love in the bot lane as well recently, could end up being taken away.
Gragas even banned just to deny any of that disruption thanks to the explosive cask and an Elise, as Jwei could have gone for an Elise support, just extra burst damage. And you already highlighted that it could be one or the other, an AP jungler or a Ziggs for Awesome. But right now they're thinking about both, but they're going to keep it holding for now. You can't block it, Nautilus. That has already been been used during the series. Awesome, just being a little silly. But what's not silly is no set.
It's Jwei set. Okay. Versus Renata as well. We're going in, unfortunately, Raafaa, and I don't think that we care about your Renata. That's what's being said here. There's not really any iteration of flexes that make any other sense other than set support. If you put Zyra support, it then means you put something jungle, which is not what you'd expect. Shen gets locked into the top lane for solo kill, and Doinb was hovering a couple of different champs there that I'm a little bit curious about.
Yeah.
This is a game fiver if we ever saw one. Set support gets locked in. Shen moves into that top lane to try and answer the Renekton. The Spirit's Refuge to stop the Ruthless Predator could be a very good tool. And as well versus Yone set Renekton, that's a lot of auto attackers that you can block the spear of.
Brothers! What a
Doinb
cinematic 1v1 in the mid lane. Care slams down Yone blind, and Doinb says, bet, I'm answering with my Yasuo. What more could we ask for in Game 5 that determines playoffs, that determines where you end up in Split 3, either Group Ascend or Group Nirvana? The Ziggs gets locked in. We're throwing nukes on top of this already cinematic battle. Yes!
It's the Wind Brothers mid lane. That is the story for game number 5. And then you look at our junglers. When you have such a volatile mid lane, and in a series where Care has struggled, he has not looked performing well at all in this series. Doinb as well has not been the superstar for NIP, but they have both just said with chest, this game needs to be about us. And with that extension, you need to look at who's been better at supporting. And in this series, supporting exclusively mid lane, Arky has actually been that little bit better. Shadow has been exceptional at going bot lane, helping lead, helping ppgod. But in this game, where mid lane needs to be the focus for both of these sides, we need to see a switch up from Shadow. Arky, in fairness, he was diving mid at level 3 in game number 2. We know that he can go mid lane if needed. That needs to be the case for both junglers this time round, because either one of these Wind Brothers can take over the game.
Yeah. And while the big advantage of Zyra is that she clears super fast, I agree wholeheartedly with you. Shadow, if you see Care getting targeted early, you cannot just abandon this brother by his lonesome and say, good luck, Chuck. You have to bail him out. Care has not been a great performer in this series, but he is pivotal to your team's success. If this Yone gets ahead of the Yasuo, the whole tides of battle changes, as now we stare at one final showdown between these two teams, an organization that was the second to bring LPL its second world title against the mid laner that started it all with that org, as we head on to the Rift for our last game of the series.
Game number 5. First time in play-ins that we have a little bit of a spicy one between our two organizations. Yesterday we were over and done with, wrapped up nice and quickly. But Doinb already here, flexing a little further forward, not going to get caught out, but he's going to lose his ward, get swept out by Jwei. And eyes on our junglers for this early game. We know Zyra clears quicker than a Maokai. But are they going to try to do something to disrupt the clear early? Doinb, Solo Kill and Arky all stepping up here. And Solo Kill walking in with his Maokai.
But Sheer is here to block them and tries to dissuade any disruption to this early Zyra clear. Only onto Sheer, not the ideal target, as Shadow is able to kite him, and now Sheer will get a chance to jump onto Shen. Is Solo Kill going to be forced to flash over the wall? This is just going to be a solo if Sheer does not follow, and he maintains that flash advantage for the lane.
And already a massive win for FPX then. Shadow's able to continue his clear, so he's not going to lose out on the timing of that. Solo Kill loses his flash. And with Sheer feeling pretty comfortable in that topside matchup, and Renekton, again blind pick, will be feeling pretty good. It looks like early on as well, we saw some skirmishing down in that bot side. ppgod forced to use Summon a Heal early on in exchange for Jwei's flash. A lower third there at the bottom. The last time we saw set support only last year on RNG with Ming. Feels like a lifetime ago, really.
I'm curious if Jwei just pretty much scented level 1 with a flash face breaker, just trying to get as much chip damage onto this double range bot lane as possible and buying space for awesome Ziggs. Every lane is getting super volatile. Ignite already used. The handshake is going to pull Jwei in. Getting close, using the Haymaker just to give himself that shield. Right now, Leave and ppgod are doing extremely well as, wow, exactly that. Flash face breaker.
Flash face breaker at level 1 goes in. But I mean, that's not helping them out here, really. Worth saying that, again, Awesome is a little bit further up on farm, but Leave starting out with that cull is going to quite quickly close that gap up in terms of gold and probably extend a little bit past the Ziggs as well. Early teleport expended by Awesome. He does get back, manages to find a tier of the goddess, and really good interrupt as well. The longer that they can stop these recalls, the better it is for FPX. And another small advantage that they do find for themselves, they weren't able to crash this wave. Awesome's TP means that he can hold it outside of the turret's aggro. And now we're moving to the mid lane for both of our junglers. Instead, I say both, it's only Shadow that's here.
Okay, Q3 blocked by the wind wall, but Shadow is still closing the distance, trying to run to the safety of his jungler in Aki's Maokai, but Doinb doesn't get any reprieve at all, as Aki didn't even get a chance to finish a full clear for level 4, hits the Scuttle Crab, still not level 4, because he still has a Grom to work with, so he can't really bail Doinb out. It is ppgod that will try to relieve this lane.
And this is the win that Shadow got, right? When that level 1 didn't go the way that NIP had have hoped, they were able to give Shadow not only an advantage to the clear, but also that a chance to clear quicker innately with that Zyra versus the Maokai. A swap early from NIP, so they are sacrificing their bot side. They're sacrificing really their lanes to try and get a little bit of gold onto solo kill and mainly onto leave as well, making sure that he's feeling pretty comfortable, but they're making sure that the lanes are matched here. FPX, I don't want to give them this lane swap scenario, and as much as not quite sure how those wolves are aggroed, Doinb able to come back into that mid lane, not able to stop Care's recall, give a decent opportunity now for NIP to fight on this top side and maybe get some plates as well.
Perhaps Care does not opt to use the teleport to go back to lane, since Doinb went for a more aggressive summoner spell loadout in the exhaust alongside the flash. So the fact that Care is able to catch a majority of this wave, he can still maintain a potential tempo advantage once he decides to go for a teleport. We're 5.5 minutes into the game. Oh, I guess this is... Oh, he does this so that he can allow Doinb to get back to lane quicker? That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, fair play. You know, like
insane.
You just have to respect it. There's nothing else to it. Like, can you just time when your Raptors are gonna be back up? Flash from the leave though. Okay.
That's pretty big, because now Cleanse is the only thing that's stopping him from potentially dying in an isolate 2v2 or a gank from Shadow or someone else. Aki. Flash Q over the wall. Is it worth it? Yeah,
oh
it is for him. He's going to give up his life surely for this one, because Doinb is nowhere near to save him. But FPX will lose the first dragon of the game in exchange for first blood, and then 2v2 on the top side. Leaf trying to duel it out against. Oh, Shen ulti coming on in. Awesome has to flash away. Solo kill. Does he have the taunt flash range? Doesn't look like it's going to be the case, but it does save Leaf's life.
Yeah, he didn't have flash to get in range there, Solo kill. Might have looked for it had it been available, but turns that fight into being even on the top side, but now gives Sheer a lot of free time to work with. And it means that NIP have got to do some quick juggling to try and rectify this situation. Jwei with flash back up and ready, immediately onto ppgod. No response timer comes through, and Leave wisely here fires the Infernum Chakram combo onto the wave instead of onto the set, so that you can get more Chakram stacked and try to do more DPS. It forces the flash from Awesome as well. So getting into this place where they get a 1-for-1, giving Leave some gold, keeping the AD carry alive, a reminder that this is how NIP have won both of their games so far this series. And if that's how they're going to look to win game number 5, it's a very good way of starting.
Yeah, Solo Kill gives up an entire wave for that play. Worth, because you are protecting Leave, the person that has single-handedly given Ninjas in Pyjamas their Game 2 victory and their Game 4 victory. Yes, the supporting cast, you know, contributed, but everyone is going to remember the MVP performances of that Smolder and Zeri, respectively, if NIP do walk away with a win on this series.
So it is worth saying as well that while Solo Kill TP'd up to that top side, NIP actually did some really good map movements to make sure that there weren't actually any minions lost. Solo Kill stayed up on that top lane, caught a wave up there. Doinb actually moved bot lane and caught the wave that was bot side. He's not actually gone back to base yet to find anything else. And then Leaf pivoted back out to mid lane to catch the crashing mid wave. So even though they Shen ulted to top side, they were actually still able to get the vast majority of that experience.
Care. He's going to have to flash and Fate Sealed away if he wants to get out of this one, but he flashes over the wall and the Fate Seal doesn't even come through. It's too late. And that Soul Unbound is just going to bring him back into the waiting arms of Doinb. Win Brothers 1-0 so far in the mid lane.
And now mid lane again, it's ppgod getting caught out. He manages to get out to safety this time with a good handshake, keeping Jwei at bay. But FPX slowly here, finding that they are not having the best of times in their side lanes. Sheer had that early advantage, just not really done a lot with it so far. Solo kill on the Shen has moved into a advantageous position where he can start ulting around the map. Hasn't really lost anything across the board. Forced away on this top side, and the only real area of the map that you can see a sort of marked advantage is actually Doinb in that mid lane.
That's right. Solo kill was bullied off the top lane, tier 1, just for a short bit, but gold advantage still relatively across the board in the hands of FPX. Only advantage slightly in favor of Doinb, and you can see some of the small decisions that he has made that is just trying to give him that increased advantage over. The fact that he doesn't drop wave and allows Aki to go for the bananas play of just flashing over the wall, sending it, giving up a kill over just to secure the first dragon of the game and prevent the dragon stacking for the side of FPX. Doinb said, you go ahead and do that, bro. I'm getting this wave pushed in.
That's
but
entirely your choice.
Yep.
And it's a good idea as well, that Aki is playing a supportive role. It's something that we've seen from Shadow and we've seen do really well as Shadow, but so far this game, he's taken the burden himself into being the carry, and we actually saw this from Shadow in game number 3 as well, where he was the carry on the Neferi, right? Game number 4, excuse me, where he was the Neferi that needed to make the big plays happen individually, and didn't quite manage to push it all the way over the line. This time round on the Zyra as well, we need to see that change up happen for FPX. A duo of Jwei and Shadow, who have been so instrumental in their successes so far this split, need to step up in this game number 5, where they have done, don't get me wrong, game 1 MVP was Shadow, game 3, Jwei came out swinging with a mammoth of a performance. But this time round, in 2 and 4 as well, not quite having that same level. I think that we've seen Jwei be quite proactive already so far this game, which is good, and we're just going to need to see that continue as we move in through the rest of the match.
10 seconds for the second dragon of the game. Ninjas in Pyjamas, the first team in the river here. There's a ward from FPX that will spot the pit, but I don't think they could really contest it at all. Jwei, however, is looking for an angle to potentially flash and use that ultimate to suplex someone into the waiting arms of FPX, but it would be tricky to pull off. 4k HP already on the dragon.
So they're not going to try to fight here, though, Raafaa.
Oh, Smite was early, but they secure it nonetheless. Shadow did not get a chance to walk on up, and it's a teleport from Sheer. That gets nothing really from the side of FPX. Solo Kill says, cool, that's a free teleport. Now I have my own teleport, plus Stand United. I have the major tempo advantage on the top side.
Yeah, and I mean, the Maokai ulti there, just buying enough space and fortunately buying enough time to keep NIP able to get that dragon and get out scot-free. Have to think again, we haven't really touched on the scaling aspects of this, but if they can get to a hyper late game scenario, you expect NIP with just the presence of an AD carry and a little bit of a front-to-back team fight, they should be able to come out on top. Leaf has been farming very well this game, has stacked up his full already, is quite happy just going toward the Collector first. He knows that there's not particularly a tank that he needs to cut through, so he can work towards this quite aggressive build path. And if there's one good combo that connects, either ppgod plus Aki, or Doinb finds a last breath of doom, this fight should be over, and could be over quite quickly in favour of NIP. Of course, the way that the fight's want to play for FPX is Jwei pulls Leave out, sends him back into the rest of the team, or you have Care find that backline access.
Yeah. I think the only other option for Jwei's ultimate selections... Oh, hang on, Shadow. Gonna get jumped on by a solo kill here. This Shen is super tanky. Shadow is definitely in a world of trouble. He might be forced to flash here, but thankfully he does have Sheer in his back pocket that he could just walk to the safety of. I think the other old target for Jwei, as the Shen gets tankier and tankier, you're hoping that they're all in a choke point together and you can just suplex the Shen for massive burst damage onto the Aphelios. But other than that, it's gonna be tricky. This was, wait, bait sealed, trying to kill the wave and at least stall the turret one taking. Okay, wait. That's enough turret damage ramped up. That is just insane. Care gets the kill. They stop the tier 1 turret falling just in time for FPX to claim first brick on the top side of the map. Big play for Care's Jwei.
So when players miss cannon memes, Twitch chat says -1. I don't know what they're saying at the minute, but that's like, I'm just questioned. You know, that's a missing ping, right? In game, you missing ping these situations as Arky goes in under the turret, and it's just a complete split decision between the two of them. If he stands and hits the turret dies and he lives. Yeah. Suboptimal performance. Suboptimal performance.
This is the action we get in Game 5 between NIP and FPX, and I'm here for it. And another thing that we didn't even consider, Rude, turret destruction power from Awesome Ziggs. That is going to be another big proponent in trying to accelerate and find those big early game gold advantages that FPX, when they find them, have done such a great job of being able to just snowball games out of control with.
This is very true, and I think that if FPX can get to these objectives first as well, the power of the Ziggs with, first of all, the poke, but also the zone control that Ziggs and Zyra both provide to you, is very, very large. Alright, solo kill isn't going to be able to tank up all that much to walk in. He's got to build armor to itemize versus sheer. He's got to build magic resistance to be able to absorb the poke that Awesome and Shadow are going to put down. And the first item that he went for is Titanic Hydra, so he's got neither of those two yet. And for the most part, FPX should just be looking to continue controlling this neutral objective setup. There's a TP in here from Care, who's got that bonus longsword that he probably shouldn't have had. And now NIP need to walk forward, try to get in here, but again, they're doing it in the face of a Zyra through a Ziggs as well.
Okay, Aki unloading the ultimate there. A lot of damage onto Shadow. If they clip him out, he will not get a chance to secure this Rift Herald. He finally gets the smite down. Rest of NIP struggling to brute force their way into the river. Big damage from the Mega Inferno Bomb onto the back line of Ninjas in Pyjamas. They are able to walk away, but they are not healthy enough to contest the wave.
But that's just a quick pickup. Nice and easy for FPX. They also burned Leaves Flash there, which is a massive pickup for them. This Yone has now got access. This Renekton now with Flash has got access. And ppgod is going to need to pull off a miracle job to keep his AD carry alive, because without Flash, that's going to be so much harder. Probably means that FPX honestly get this dragon, I'd like to think, for free. I think that the power of not having a Belios Flash is enough that Sheer and the rest of FPX can take him down and feel confident around a dragon. They should be looking to stop this Drake stacking as well, so expect FPX to head toward this Drake, and honestly, if I'm NIP, I do not want to fight if Leaf doesn't have Flash.
You know, I want to agree with you, Rude, but there have been times earlier in the series where NIP had no business in contesting an objective, and yet they did it anyway. And now Solo Kill trying to clear out this wave, so the turret starts ramping up. Jwei is able to absorb the damage thanks to the Haymaker shield, but now Shadow is arriving to the party, and the rest of NIP are nowhere near. This is going to be a lot of damage down onto the Shen. They dodge the turret dagger. The Taunt Flash doesn't do enough because the turret dagger already swapped to Shadow. Care is going to be able to eviscerate this turret, and maybe the tempo is burned enough that NIP feels stronger about contesting for this dragon, but they were trying to push in the mid-wave, and Sheer teleports in to defend it.
And now Solo Kill does have TP, so if FPX aren't quick about this Drake take, there's a world where it can be contested. But with Leaf walking up to that top side, it looks to the world as though FPX have done their due diligence, have done the job that they needed to. Stops that dragon stacking. Really solid performance from Jwei in particular. Uses the CC, buffers it well, and immunes as much of that time in the Spirit's Refuge as possible. Also manages to get out to safety, doesn't end up giving a kill back over, and burns the flash of Solo Kill as well. So now that backline access that Taunt Flash so frequently provides you is not available to you anymore. And that's going to be a really big safety net as well for Shadow, for Awesome. So when we look across the board, their backline, the things that are going to be threatening them in the backline, pretty low overall.
I just can't believe that in Game 5, the creativity that comes out from FPX is from Jwei with this set pick. And so far, he's been...
I can't believe that.
Well, I mean, yes, but still, I just was not expecting set.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Of all picks, but
yeah.
So far, he has made proactive, aggressive looks. It has only netted, you know, 2 kills that he's been a part of so far in this game, but you can feel the pressure as he's consistently burned summoner spells, if not actual kills for his team to pick up here. I'm very excited and very hopeful of what Jwei can do in a massive 5-on-5 team fight.
I think that might honestly be where the set scares me the least, to be completely honest. But just because of how squishy he's going to be, right? He's got so far a null magic mantle and a cloth armor in terms of HP and resist, or in terms of resist. HP's got a Kindle gem as well, so maybe a Locket Rush coming in. But I'm looking in particular at the bot laners, right? Like Leaf has been such a crucial part of this NIP roster through this series, and awesome, this game has been planning like an absolute storm. 202 CS, 19 minutes in on the Ziggs. 2 items already finished. Has said that he doesn't need to be able to move quickly. He can just walk at a, you know, little dawdle. But he needs these items. He's got no boots on his feet, Mark.
Yeah, wait, wow. I didn't even notice that. And to me, this is kind of strange. Luden's with a tier. It's going to be double Lost Chapter item essentially coming in at some point. I'm not the biggest fan, but I wonder if he just... like, why?
Objectively, Lost Chapter items are actually just like really good value anyway. Ziggs needs a lot of mana, so that's kind of why you go for the tier, but you get the burst from Ludens. You get an extra shield as well coming in. I've been known to dabble in the double Lost Chapters before. And maybe he'll just sell one at some point.
See, Mazel's been doing this for a while, and I've been criticizing for him, but now that Awesome is doing it, I'm like, oh, now he's got this is not good. Anyway,
remember that guy, that FPX AD carry? Yeah, he's on my side.
Well, this is for the chance to qualify into playoffs and avoid Group Nirvana in Split 3. So if this is what Awesome trusts, then, you know, if you're an FPX fan, you must pray that it is the correct decision, as we are getting ready for the fourth dragon of the game. Care Q3 over the other wall. Oh god.
Fate sealed onto ppgod.
Okay, Blast Cone. That bails him out. Very nice. NIP. Now going to be looking for another pick. Shadow could be caught by the Maokai ultimate here. Jwei is able to absorb it for Awesome's sake. Nothing really emerges from that.
They're all just stood watching. Somebody kill someone. Do something!
They can't get in. This is a 2-item Doinb Yasuo. You can tell how badly they wanted to force something off this fight, but Doinb needs a knockup. He needs something else. Oh, Doinb getting jumped on by Shears. Renekton. Redemption's going to come through, give a little bit of healing back, but Doinb wasn't in the circle, so he's still below 50% HP. Still has a flash, but Exhaust was already used. Sheer popping the Dominus, buying space while the rest of FPX try to burn out this Otacon. Solo kills Taunt, forces Sheer out onto the left side. Aki has a flash. Can he get in? Can he be the hero? They're going to jump onto Sheer. Already the last breath. Fate sealed from Care over the wall. He clips Doinb. Whip Brother is down, and Care is able to finally step out of Doinb's shadow. Secures the Otacon for FPX. The rest of NIP can't do anything as Lee finds a big kill on a Shadow in the back, but the objective goes to FunPlus Phoenix.
But Lee's got a triple kill in this fight. It's once again the NIP AD carry stepping up when he needs to. Jwei flashed in, couldn't do any damage. Shia, the focus for that team fight, picks out nobody. And Lee finds yet another mammoth performance on the Aphelios. Look at this fight once again. It's Arky starting off this fight by choosing the Renekton as their target. Q for Doinb to get the knock upon, and Lee puts down his sentry turret, catches Jwei out as well. Doesn't do anything to keep him in place, and Shadow lucky that ulti goes wide. I think that Leave in total, he finds a quick snipe here as Shadow walks into the turret, takes one, takes 2 hits.
What's happening
Another
on this
fighting
fight?
alive.
Dragon. Wait, NIP got the 3rd dragon for themselves, but Shia! Massive Q through the majority of them. Doinb's gonna hold him with the last breath, gets a revenge kill on 2 Care, but Leave is still alive, and if this Aphelios can be thriving, then NIP still have a chance in this game.
2-4-3 once again, even though these fights look like FPX are coming out on top. It's numbers advantages. Leave now.
Anti-synergy, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The burst is there. The satchel charge did displace him away from the root. It looks scary, but FPX get the big shutdown onto Leave and will buy enough time to take out the tier 2 in the mid lane.
You think a solo kill comes in?
Oh, just one more auto attack. Boom.
Satchel takes it down. And you can feel the pressure mounting. NIP take the dragon. This happened whilst we were in the replay. Jwei starts it off with Arky, a little bit of a face breaker, and the fake seal, you'd like to think if it's off cooldown, would go massive here. But it's all target selection that is not focused onto Lead, and he is churning out the damage time and time again. And then we see on the back half of it, that small lapse in judgment, where Lead gets caught out. He gets the flash from Shadow, and goes down after the fact. Now, I will lend him a very small amount of copium, that there was nothing going to come from that anyway, and him falling after the fact didn't actually cost them much. It cost them the tier 2. Yep. But if you're going to choke at any point in the game, this is the better time to do it than later on when it's a big team fight that could decide how this game goes.
Where the death timers are super long.
Yes. Between our marksmen and between our junglers, there is no doubt about who our carries are for these two teams. Shadow needs to step into a more carry-oriented position, and Lee needs to keep doing what he's been doing by just carrying the team.
Yeah. And if NIP continue to create that space for him, then we get what happened in Game 4, where Doinb throws his life away for the greater cause of creating opportunities for Leave. Aki is on the Maokai. He doesn't need to carry. He just needs to zone. And that's exactly what this champion can do. Solo kill, even picking a Shen. Not a carry champion in its own right. He can brawl, he can do damage, but he's all about providing that extra shield and Spirit's Refuge. And now this is FPX using the power of the Zyra. They've empowered all the plants. They are trying to burn through this Baron as fast as possible, but NIP should know that something is amiss. Sheer is going to try to block this Maokai ultimate from coming through. Can they brute force their way through? They cannot get in. ppgod is going to throw the hostile takeover to buy some time. Doinb finding a Q3. It's only on to Jwei. Uses the Haymaker to give him a big shield. Sheer onto the front line. Care caught up in the last breath. He gets popped. Sheer's got to run. Awesome and Shadow are the only members left standing as Sheer gets pulled in by the handshake. Aki sends it with a twisted advance. Gets blown up, but still survives. NIP only find 2 in the crossfire, but FPX walk away with the Baron.
And it's daylight robbery. Shadow steals away the Baron. Not even from underneath the noses of NIP, but just in their face. Taking it 25 minutes into the game. That is a big win for FPX. NIP were looking for all the world as though they were going to just start snowballing this game through teamfights alone. But now with the Baron at their backs, they're the ones who can push waves. Look at the Drake timer, Raafaa. 1 minute 10 seconds before Soul spawns for NIP. And now they are not going to be able to get pressure in mid lane, not going to be able to get pressure in bot lane. FPX need to use this Baron as a stabilizer to push waves in mid, push waves in bot, to secure control over the river and make NIP walk into them. Their composition for FPX thrives when people are walking into them. They have Ziggs, they have Zyra for zone control. Make NIP walk into you. Use the Baron waves to push in deep, set up some vision, and stabilize this game.
Care's already done a great job of teleporting early to the bottom side of the map, pushes in that wave. Awesome doing the same in the mid wave as well. 30 seconds before the 5th dragon of the game spawns. It is soul point for NIP, which is why it is imperative that FPX are the first ones here and deny that possibility away.
And you remember the stakes of this now. This isn't just for a chance to play in the playoffs. This is what decides how Split 3 goes for you. Are you playing Split 3 in Group Ascend or Group Nirvana? One big team fight between these two sides will determine it. Whether it comes around the Soul, whether it comes around a fight around the Baron, who's to know? But NIP, they're rallied around on this bot side. She has got a flank angle, and NIP are corralled in the middle of it.
Solo kill was called, not even waiting for it to stand united. The taunt goes on to Jwei, but Sheer is waiting. Sheer is lying in wait in the shadows, but doesn't really find a flank angle. Jwei is super low on HP. Sheer has to go in and buy space so that NIP cannot steal away the dragon. Sheer is waiting for what? Care finds the fate sealed. Solo kills down. Leave is chunked out, forced to flash away. Sends the ultimate, but doesn't find anyone with a Moonlight Vigil. He's blinking low on 200 HP. Jwei is waiting. He's gonna send it with a blast cone, but he gets popped by the power of Leaves of Felios. But Care has other words to say. Awesome blows him up! And FPX deny Infernal Soul. Once again, Doinb is on the run. Shadow flashing forward. The plant will tag him for the slow, but not enough to take him down.
It's not just denying Infernal Soul, Raafaa. This is 40-second death timers on 3 members of NIP with Baron at their backs. FPX, they can look to do some serious structural damage here. Not only have they done the job of stabilizing this game, but they may have just put it back into their hands.
Gold advantage. Solidly 3,000 on their side at 29 minutes into the game. Things could not be more tense. FPX do have the advantage, but it is still within striking distance as we take a look back at the replay.
Jwei gets caught early here, caught up by that taunt and loses the majority of his HP, and it looks like it's going pretty rough for FPX, but the poke from Awesome, the poke from Shadow ends up doing a lot of work. Walking through the mines, walking through the bombs. Leave catches the entire Mega Inferno Bomb, sacrifices his entire HP before he flashes out. And he's getting Leandri's ticked down by the plants as well. Yes, he's able to take down Jwei. Unfortunately, whiffing on the face breaker. Rest of FPX there to secure.
The top quadrant jungle. Aki is caught. Tries to run away. Burning down to the Leandri's Torment, but the Stand United keeps him alive for now. Care clipping solo kill on the way in with the Q3. Aki still trying to see if he can help out, but solo kill is burned down. FPX will now make the map theirs. 5-4 advantage. Baron is not spawning for another minute and 40, but this tier turret falls on the top side.
More and more fights going the way of FPX. 4,000 gold lead in their back pockets. Awesome, who'd been quiet through the early game, who'd been just farming up, is now starting to do exactly what Ziggs players love to do, and it's sit 7 screens away. Whittle you down with poke and make sure that the fight never even looks close. And the amount of carries that FPX have on their side, they're able to go in and do the damage as well. Leave the counterpart, the enemy bot laner, not having that same impact, not able to do the same amount of work that we've seen from him in games 2 and games 4. He was brought onto this FPX roster, onto this NIP roster, excuse me, to do exactly what he did in games 2 and games 4, to be the superstar carry, to be the threat, that presence that can carry them through playoff series. If you can't make it through this, that's a bit of a problem as, yeah, Shadow, okay.
Forced to use the Seeker's Arm Guard because Leave was threatening his life. Throws down the Strangle Thorn.
Jwei!
Sends it here! Right on top of it! Doinb pops him, but he take out Leave! That was the big target! That was the big headhunter they were looking for! Doinb is blown up by Awesome! FPX have a 4-2 advantage with the power of Ziggs on their side!
That's it!
They can end it here!
There's only solo kill and Aki left alive. They've got no damage to deal with. There's no wave clear to get rid of the minions. FPX are looking for Group Ascend.
Aki will send it. He's gonna get blown to smithereens. Solo kill. Blown high up into the heavens with the satchel charge. Kept in range by FPX as he stumbles away. Tries to look for the minion wave, but FPX just need a couple more auto attacks. The turret was ramping up too fast. They lost the minion wave. And solo kill does not go down and ensures that NIP will live to see another fight.
And let's take a second. Let's reset. Because FPX are going to take this Baron. It's going to be little to no consequence. But they've got such low health bars. FP should be fine. And FPX now in the firm driver's seat. The entire split, they've looked like the better team. But this series has challenged them, has pushed both FPX and NIP right to the limit. And with a 9,000 gold advantage, FPX are in the driver's seat still. They still have the window to win this game. And Shadow, fortunate enough to use the arm guard here, but it's Jwei once again. Picking solo kill out. 4-man facebreaker combo. Leave with no flash, immediately torn asunder. And it's Care with the follow-up as well. A player who struggled a lot through this series, but knows how to follow up on an engage. And now with Baron at their backs, and with all the advantages in this game, FPX have one final job. Secure your spot in playoffs.
Infernal Soul will be denied once again from Ninjas in Pyjamas. FPX now put themselves at Infernal Soul point. If this game stalls out for another 5 minutes and they continue maintaining control of the map, there is no doubt that NIP will not get a chance to secure it for themselves. It is nearly 8,000 gold in advantage for FPX. Baron buff on their side. Ziggs on their side. These turrets will be paper in the face of him as Aki's already getting chunked out, forced to flash away from the Zyra ultimate. Sheer threatening with a flank on the top side as he continues to loom in the darkness and tries to corral NIP away from the safety of this tier 3 turret.
I think they have to give this inhibitor, try and fight around your Nexus turret that's still standing. I think that's the best opportunity that you've got. It looks really dire for NIP at this point, but the little bits of poke you can heal up in the fountain. What you can't do is fight. When you've got no Maokai ulti, it's so much more difficult now they've expended that. The trade of 1 for 2 in the ultis, but even still, NIP don't feel confident to look for it.
5 members stand in the way of FPX. 1 Nexus turret stands in the way of a base that FPX can destroy and claim their spot in playoffs. NIP doing an admirable job of clearing the minion wave right now. He steps up.
Leave!
Jwei! Jwei didn't get a chance to flash. He didn't get to use Haymaker. He was just deleted.
That's why you bring him in. That's why you have Leave on this side. He has just saved the approach. There is nothing that FPX would have done but try to end this game. But now he's bought 30 more seconds, and all of a sudden, the tension dissipates once again. We reset. We go back to this situation where NIP have a 6-item Aphelios. As full build as an Aphelios will ever get, Leave is there. And you can see it's just a quick little thing. It's almost inconsequential to Jwei. He doesn't realize. 800 damage crit comes through, and just like that, he's gone.
I am on the edge of my seat, Roodood. I cannot even feel the lack of sleep, the sleep deprivation. I am fully wired and just waiting to see how the chaos all comes to a close. FPX still with the gold advantage, but the fact that NIP are rallying behind Leave, who is continuing to say, I've got one more in me, with every clutch play that has emerged in this series. He is trying to do it again on this Aphelios, still the only member with a solid gold advantage, but where we're now at the late game stage of this final match. That gold lead is slowly not going to matter anymore once Awesome has a chance to fully buy out this tier and either upgrade into an Archangels or go for a different item completely.
And importantly as well, this is what the point in the game where you actually need to look at what guns are we fighting with as well, right? Leave is trying his hardest to keep Infernum available for these team fights, but he's going to have to try and cycle through that. I think the good thing is that with so many minions pouring into his base, he's actually got a lot of things to try and auto-attack. So he can quickly get through these guns that he doesn't necessarily want. I think after this rotation, he's going to have purple, so he's got to try and make his way through this, make his way through purple, work his way back towards this happy spot of red and blue that he's been seeming to sit on for the most part of this team fight and the most part of this game. While still also getting gold into the people on his team that don't have as many items as he does, you know? Aki's 3 levels down on Shadow, has 2.5 items, where Shadow sat 4 items deep almost, working towards that Rabadon's 5k gold to the good. I've got a job at trying to clear out that purple gun. But with Drake spawning in 1 minute, Baron spawning in the exact same timer, that question mark of what these two sides are going to do. A reminder for those of you who are just joining us, this is for not just a spot in playoffs, but to secure your spot in Group Ascend in Split 3. Losers here spend no more time playing in Split 2, and they spend Split 3 playing in Group Nirvana. Neither of these two sides were there previously. FPX, one of the teams that fought their way out to be in Group Ascend in that 3rd place tiebreaker we had at the beginning of this split.
FPX went from 4th seed in Group D in Split 1 to now a surprising resurgence in this Split 2. NIP went from top of their group in Split 1, Doinb, regular season MVP, now on the brink of potentially being sent to group Nirvana in split 3. As Sheer was trying to find a flank angle once again, NIP say, go for the Infernal Soul, we don't care. We are taking the Baron. We have better odds with this on our side, but Shadow is still here, could look for a Smite steal. Aki's got to be clutch with the Q Smite on his side. He gets it. Infernal Soul is secured by Care. He has a teleport. He can join in the fight. Shadow gets a lot of damage bursted onto him by Lee's Moonlight Vigil. They jump onto Sheer. Care is here. Tries to turn the tides of the war. Doinb tries to flash away. Shadow collapsing on the right side. Fate Seal from Care will find Doinb. And FPX can finally emerge from Doinb's shadow. For the past 4 years, this org has struggled to find success without Doinb at their side. But for the first time, they will send Doinb to Group Nirvana, and they will emerge to playoffs without him.
The double TP's bot lane. It's Sheer standing tall in the front line. And FPX send NIP packing.
FPX qualified to playoffs and defeat NIP 3-2.
And it was a ping pong the entire series long. One win for FPX, then one for NIP. Then we get to our best of 5, game 5. The 1v1 goes the way of NIP. The blue side ascendancy is thwarted as FPX are barely able to find that fight, find that game, and push themselves that little bit further. It feels right, it feels fitting. FPX through this entire split had been the better team than NIP, but it's FPX that put the doubters to rest. They stopped their 4-5 series losing streak and pushed themselves over the line. Now they have a date in playoffs. Now they have a split 3 in Group Ascend where they can continue to level up against the best of the best.
This was a team that we were just expecting to fail at the beginning of split 2 when we went into the placement stage, based on what we saw from split 1 in their group. 4th seed overall. They have turned it around ever since Shadow joins the roster. Jwei is able to link up with someone who can create successful early game plans on a more consistent basis. They bring in Awesome for their AD carry as well. And while Awesome has not necessarily been a big star carry for this roster, he has graciously received all the attention, all the resources that Shadow and Jwei leverage him time after time, and he does his job. He clocks in, he clocks out, and he gets shit done, Rude.
And a big performance from, honestly, the entirety of FPX this game. And it needed to be because NIP were putting up such a fight. But for a game that we'd been saying, and a series that I'd been saying had been looking really weak, right? For Care in particular, where we hadn't seen that step up. This time round on the Yone, I'm thinking, oh, incredibly high execution champion. This is going to be a really big challenge for him. But that exact time that he needs to step up and put his former mentor in an FPX mid laner in the dirt, he does exactly that. The Fate Seals were crisp. They did what they needed to in these final team fights. And it was a great follow-up on all counts from FPX.
Student finally gets a chance to surpass the Master in a best of 5 that matters. I really hope that Care can take that experience going forward, and it gives him that confidence that is so necessary for this FPX roster to thrive and continue growing, because that has been the biggest question ever since Care first took over for the mid starting spot since Doinb's departure. And, year after year, we still have had that same question. This is, while you said, overall the series was not great from Care, he clutches it in game 5. And if he can just look back at that performance and realize how necessary it was for him to step up and how he answered the call, if you're an FPX fan, you're just generally hoping that that's something that he can take to heart with him going forward.
Yeah, exactly. And, they put so much trust in Care as well for the most part of this the last like 4 or 5 years, right? They've put all of their faith into him as a mid laner. They're starting to see that little bit of rewards. Hopefully he can push that forward. I think that for FPX, they should be very happy with how the introduction of Jwei and Shadow as a pairing has looked for them in this series in particular. MVP game number 1 for Shadow, MVP game 2 for Jwei, probably the most singly influential support that there has been in split number 1. And I think that for FPX, they've got such a good core to be building up from. Maybe they can look to change a couple of bits and bobs, but when they've got the great foundations that are given from this jungle and support role, that moving into playoffs, they're going to have to once again rely on very heavily, because the competition gets harder from here, right? Like, you're playing up against top AL, BLG, or JDG, who are all like titans of the LPL. Those are better teams than NIP, and NIP took you to 5. You've got maybe a week to get that practice in and scratch up and dust up on your skills. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what you've done today, you'll be going back home again at the end of next week.
Yep. At the end of the day, FPX can be grateful that they will be in Group Ascent or Split 3. And, looking at some of those top 4 matchups, they were able to beat JDG earlier in the regular season. They beat Anyone's Legend towards the middle of the regular season. They got close to taking a game off of Top Esports in the first encounter of their most recent series against them. I honestly don't remember what it was like against BLG, but, that's 3 of the teams that they have pretty decent track records. Now, you are right that they went to full 5 games against NIP, and there's still some things that they have to insanely polish before they can be even considered a dark horse. I don't, but I'm happy for them that they have qualified to playoffs.
So am I, and I think that the actual, the more likely outcome of this is that when we see them, whichever team end up drawing them and choosing for them, is that there's going to be a big struggle from FPX in that series, right? Like, that is just the realistic nature of it. But let's relive some of this game here, Raafaa, as this is the beginning of what looks like NIP's resurgence in this game and in this series. But ultimately, with Leave just barely unable to do the hard work, they do end up falling, and it's FPX that find that win.
And man, Park goes out to Leave. He tried his damnedest to really 1v9 this game. Not everything connected. There's a couple of Moonlight Vigils that just hit my fridge on the way out, but it was tough. I mean, this is such a tough fight. You're trying to maneuver through Yone engage, Renekton flank. You have to deal with Zyra plants, and then on top of it, there's a giant set that's trying to pile drive you.
Yeah.
There's a big Mega Inferno Bomb that's about to hit you over the head. So
there's a lot of things that Leave needed to do, and unfortunately couldn't quite manage all of them. And you're looking maybe a more experienced maybe one of those top ADs might have been able to do it. And one of these days, it feels like Leave is going to get there. He is so close, it feels like, to being one of our best, as much as we've not quite seen it just yet. But it's little highlights, little glimpses of things like this that you can just think, well, if he can do that, why can't he just do that next level thing? And that's where your differences between the best AD carries in the LPL and the great AD carries in the LPL do fall.
Yeah. Now, I have to say, Root, while we're on the topic of NIP, I think this roster is getting changed again going into Split 3, because to go from top of your group in Split 1 and a, pretty... I mean, they got back-to-back ding-donged in playoffs, 2 series back-to-back losses, but we had high expectations of their continued performance to get better and better. It has declined. It is severely declined.
Yeah.
Because now, being in Group Nirvana, surrounded by teams like LNG and I think, who is the other team that
Ultra Prime made it as well?
Yeah, Ultra Prime, LNG, guaranteed, EDG. Like, this Ninjas in Pyjamas had higher expectations. They definitely should be having higher expectations. And to me, I think for this org, with the caliber of the players that they have on this roster and they're working with, it's unacceptable. So now they have to make adjustments.
Yeah, like we were saying, Split 1 MVP is in Group Nirvana for Split 3.
Awesome with player of the game. 809, Deathless on the Ziggs. I think his team did an insane job of doing all of the heavy lifting of creating the disruption so that no one could really get onto him. I don't think I saw a single attempt, at least one that was successful, from like, you know, Aki and Doinb linking up to threaten the Ziggs, because all of the chaos was happening towards Leave and they had to hold the line. But the fact that Awesome was able to be consistent with the damage and lay up on all the, you know, setups.
He was there, right? And never dying, doing the most damage in the game by far as well, like more than double anybody in his team. There's no real doubts about his contributions to that game, right? And whether you want to talk about how well the rest of the team set him up or not, that's completely by the by. Even in the games that Jwei got MVP, Awesome had an awesome performance. Shadow, MVP game number 1, but that's with Awesome having 10 kills on Misfortune and 1 death. So I think credit goes out to him as well for his performances in this series, and it's right to see him earn an MVP for the game.
Yeah. He had to level up just in time for this series so that if you're going to get a lot of these resources from your jungle and support, you better come through with the results. And he did. Pretty much every single game that they gave him those resources. But with that, Rood, that is the conclusion of our broadcast for today's series. FunPlus Phoenix officially moves on to the playoff bracket, where they will await their opponent of one of 4 between Top Esports, Anyone's Legend, JDG, or BLG. I'm not sure how that's determined yet, but we will find out at another time.
They pick.
As for now,
top 4 pick. So the top 4, seed number 1, top will take their pick of all 4 of the teams that make it through play-ins. Then second seed, then third, then fourth.
All right. We'll see if any of the top seeds want to go for FPX right away. I definitely feel like a lot of them will be trying to avoid IG at the very least. So we'll see if FPX is, you know, the last person, you know, picked on the dodgeball team per se, or if they are favored because